You know, when it comes to filming family life, a camera like this with a gimbal like this, probably a little bit of an overkill. I mean, in all reality, you don't need it. And honestly, you don't even need something like this, because here's the truth of the matter. Everybody nowadays has a phone in their pocket that has an amazing camera on it. I've said it before, I'm a hater on iPhone videography and photography. I still am not a lover of it, but I think the truth of the matter is we all have these cameras. And if we don't want to buy gimbals like this or big cameras like this will do just fine. But there is something that can make our videos even better on our phone, and that's a phone gimbal. And there's a lot of different phone gimbals out there in the market. So today I'm going to talk about the 3 different ones that I've tried out and just give you some idea as to what might be the best phone gimbal for you. Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. My name is Zach. I'm a photographer and videographer, but more important than that, I'm a husband and a father. And in my real life job, I'm using big gimbals like this to film different projects I'm working on, but it's just not realistic for family stuff. That's why I don't use it for family stuff. Instead, I'll typically use my DJI Pocket 3, or in some cases, I'll use my phone. Now, I think that there are a lot of people out there who use their phone for videography of their family life, and that's totally fine. Use what you have. I think there are a few things that you can spend just a little bit of money to make your iPhone videography a little better. And something like a phone gimbal can really help you out. It takes that jittery footage into something smooth. It reduces the amount of effort your camera has to do to digitally stabilize stuff. And honestly, it just kind of gives you a couple of nifty tricks and features that you can add to your, filming belt. Is that what we want to call it? Like a utility belt for dads when it comes to filming family life? Yeah, we'll call it that. So we're going to touch on some of these different gimbals that are out there and talk about the features of each, what makes each one of them different, what makes each one unique, stuff like that. Now, let me state from the beginning, this is a sponsored video. Insta360 is sponsoring this video. They did send me their Flow 2 Pro to try out. And so with this being a sponsored video, I'm not going to come at this as Insta360 is the best. I am coming at this as here are the features of each gimbal, because that's the most fair. If I just came at this and said Insta360 is the best, but it's a sponsored video, you guys wouldn't take my word for it. So I am going to tell you what are the best features of each, what makes them different from each, and maybe who would want to buy each of these cameras. There's not a winner in this group, but they're all just different. And it's important that we note those differences. So when it comes to picking out a phone gimbal that's going to work best for your family, I think there are 4 categories of things that we want to look at. First is, does it create stable footage? That's a big important one. Second is, does it allow me to track things hands-free? How is that AI tracking built into these gimbals, and how is it going to work for me? Third is the price. Price is always an important one. We don't want to break the bank on any of these. And fourth is its size, its use factor, and just the ease of use that it has. Now, let's keep those 4 things in mind as we talk about these gimbals, because the truth of the matter is that these gimbals are very similar in how they are able to accomplish those 4 different things. But in those, they have a lot of differences, and I think it's the differences that matter. And I think it's where you're going to figure out which of these 3 you want based on those differences. So let me introduce you to these 3 different gimbals. Here you have the Hohem iSteady M7. Here you have the Insta360 Flow 2 Pro. And here you have the DJI Osmo 7P. Like I said, all great gimbals, all similar gimbals. Let's break it down. Starting off with cinematic footage. Each of these gimbals is going to help you get more cinematic footage out of your phone. Yes, our phones are great. They can create cinematic footage on their own. They actually are really stable when you're just holding it yourself. But here's the thing. When you're using your phone and you're stabilizing footage, you don't have a gimbal, it's actually doing a lot of digital stabilization, and that has negative effects in low light or even just in the image itself. So having something like this that you can add your phone to takes away from your phone having to do that digital stabilization. Now you're doing mechanical stabilization, and it just allows your image quality on your phone to be a lot better. Along with that, each of these gimbals has a selfie stick that you can extend. They're a little tough. And they reach about the same height. I think the Flow 2 is slightly lower than the others, but that's like by like an inch, and I don't really think that matters that much. But this does give you a little bit more reach if you're wanting to hold this out and film yourself. I was using this with my son this past weekend and was able to, capture him riding a horse with it because we had the selfie stick. But here's the difference in the selfie sticks. While both the DJI Osmo and the Flow 2 Pro can tilt, the Hohem cannot. But then there's even another difference here, is that the Insta360 actually allows you to, once you've tilted, to then spin it, and this allows you to get more jib-like shots. So it just gives you even higher field of range when it comes to your gimbal. And I think that's a really cool feature. That's a great add-on to this because it just gives you more flexibility. That doesn't mean that these other ones aren't good. It just means that this has a little bit more to it. Each of these have powerful motors built into the gimbals, and the motors matter because the motors determine what weight you can put onto the gimbal. So the Hohem has the highest weight allowance of, I believe, 500 grams, which means that you can kit your phone out with different stuff. Like I said, you can use filters and maybe an external hard drive and add to it. That can be really handy if you're wanting to do something like this. I think the Insta360 has about 300 grams payload, and then the Osmo has 250 grams of payload, which both of those are going to be completely fine for your phones. And in all reality, you don't need a bunch of extra accessories built into it. So I would say all three of these are great for capturing super smooth footage. Okay, so next, let's talk about that hand-free tracking. The first thing that we have to talk about, and it seems like a little bit of a boring thing, but it's the tripods. And the cool thing is that both the Insta360 and the DJI, their tripods just fold up and slide into the handle. This is a really handy feature because it means I'm not having to carry a tripod around with me, and it's not giving me a ton of extra bulk to this when I'm using it. I don't like things to be super noticeable. I kind of want to be low profile when I'm filming family life. And so the bigger the item is, the more inconspicuous it is. Is that right? Inconspicuous? The more noticeable it is. And so the fact that the tripods in these can fold up and go into the handle is super, super handy. It just means a smaller footprint, which is really nice. Now, the Hohem on the other side, it does not fold up into the handle. Again, this is more reminiscent of a large professional grade gimbal where you want both hands in a sword grip to kind of use it. But I think that's just overkill for this. That's a lot of extra stuff on the end of it. And if you want to take it off, you have to unscrew it. But then you get to the problem of, well, what if I want to set this down and I don't have the tripod on it? Well, I can try and maybe it'll stay, but give it a little bit of a shake and it's fallen over. So I do think that's a little bit of a negative for the Hohem versus the other ones. But even in the tripods, for these two, I think there's a difference because the Insta360, it's pretty stable. I can hit it and it's not looking like it's going to tip over at all. The DJI, it's not as stable. So that's important, especially when you have kids running around who might knock it over. I think I trust the Insta360 a little bit more. So the more fun thing to talk about when it comes to the AI tracking is that each of these gimbals has AI tracking built into it. You are able to use the gimbal, you can select on the screen what you want to track, and it'll just do all the magic in doing that. That means that you don't have to use the joystick yourself to move it around and track your subject or try to pan and follow them. You can honestly just let the gimbal do the work for you. And this works both when it's in its tripod mode and when you're just holding it and you're like, I want to be lazy, or I don't trust myself to actually keep everything in shot, and so I'm going to let the gimbal do the work for me. All three of these have that feature, and you'll notice it on two of them pretty easily. It's these detachable little AI trackers and lights. Can I get this off? The Hohems and the DJI, in order to track your subject, you have to use these little accessories. That's fine. They use a LiDAR system to keep everything there, and they also come with a light built in. That's awesome. I mean, they're super small. They stay on there really easy. It's not really that big of a deal. But the thing is, while the Insta360 comes with one as well, that yes, does have a light and is able to track you, you don't actually need it. Because this gimbal has something that no other gimbal out on the market right now has, and that it works seamlessly with Apple DotKit. Which DotKit is still new. I had to look up how DotKit works, but basically you tap your phone to this little NFC reader, you connect your phone to it, and then you're able to use this gimbal in all of the native iPhone apps like Zoom, like FaceTime, even just the basic camera app. You don't have to go into the Gimbals app itself to do all the work. You can do this in whatever app you prefer. And this means that you can use tracking in those apps. But that's not the only thing that makes this stand out in the tracking. Because while all three of these can track people, Insta360's is the only one that can track pets and objects. And I think that's a big deal. Say you're wanting to track your dog as it's running around. Say you're wanting to track a car that's moving. You're able to do that on here, but it doesn't work really on these guys. And then there's one more feature that really makes this shine, and that's the fact that you can track multiple people with this one, whereas both of these, you can have multiple people in the frame, but you're only going to be able to track one of them. And so maybe someone starts to move out of the frame and it's not going to try to adapt to fix that. Whereas the Insta360, if you select the big box around both of them, it'll select one person as the primary, but it'll try to keep both people in frame. Oh, and I almost forgot. There's another feature that makes this stand out, and it is a feature that the Hohem shares with it. So it's not only the Insta360 here, but that both of these have 360 spinning. So it means that I can just allow this to spin endlessly. It's not going to stop when it gets to a certain point. It's not going to have different points where it says you've gone too far, you can't go anymore. I can just continue to let this spin. And this works on the Hohem as well, but on the DJI, it doesn't. On the DJI, there are going to be endpoints. It's going to say, oh, you've gone as far as you can go. You can't go any further. And I think that's a big downside because I don't want to get stopped. I don't want it to put those limitations on me. So when you have one on the market that allows you to do that, I think it just sets it apart. And then like I mentioned earlier, you do have that free tilt crane feature built into the Insta360. So it allows you even more flexibility in your filming modes, and that goes into the hands-free tracking. You know, while I tried to say at the beginning of this, like, I'm not going to tell you which one wins, I think it's pretty clear that the features on the Insta360 allow for the best hands-free filming when it comes to which gimbal you want. Next, let's talk about ease of use. And this covers both the ease of how is this gimbal to use, like is it easy to understand, is the app easy to work with, but also how easy is it just to have this gimbal and to pull it out and start filming. Now, the size of these gimbals is clearly different. The Hohem is the biggest out of all of them. I would say that these two are very similar in size, but what that means is that the Hohem isn't something that I can just quickly put away into my pocket. Whereas both of these gimbals, I mean, they break down into a very small size factor. So both of these can easily fit into your pocket when you have the tripods down, of course. You do have a little bit more bulk, I think, on the DJI because you've got the additional tracking feature built into it. You also have this ring dial here for your zoom, which we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But it's still fairly easy to put into your pocket. But the thing is that even the Insta360, the biggest thing that I think would make it harder to put in your pocket is going to be this part here. But we can take that off and you can replace it with this little piece that works amazingly if you have an iPhone. And now you have nothing there, so it's not going to, bother you in the pocket. And actually how this works is it just connects to the back of your phone, just like that. And then if I want to film, super simple, super easy. I don't trust it with my case on there. I think if I didn't have a case, it's a lot stronger of a magnet. You know, when I'm like this, I trust it a lot more. It's not going to fall off. And then the cool feature too is that this actually creates a little tripod mount for your phone. So I can like set it down like that. So again, just an extra innovative little feature that I think makes the Insta360 stand out a little bit more in my mind. Now, each of these gimbals also comes with a carrying case. So if you're not like, I just want to throw it in my pocket, well, then you can use the carrying case. Both the Insta360 and the DJI have these felt like drawstring bags that are great for if like you're throwing this in a backpack and you don't want it to get scratched up, or it's not really going to protect you from a lot of damage. If you drop it in this, this is not going to do anything. It's more so going to keep everything contained, keep it from getting scratched up, stuff like that. The Hohems, on the other hand, is a little bit more elaborate, and it's got, you know, pieces for how you can lay out the gimbal, how you can break it apart. This is going to give you a lot more protection if you drop it. The thing is, this isn't fitting in your backpack. Like, this is a standalone carry thing. I mean, it's got a handle on it for a reason. So I think when it comes to portability and ease, I think the Hohem is at slightly a disadvantage. Now, if you've used a gimbal before, then I think that these are going to be fairly easy for you to work with. They are really similar to professional gimbals in the sense of the different features that they have built into them. Even if you haven't used a gimbal before, I think you'll get the hang of these fairly quickly. I think that the Hohem is probably the most intimidating looking one because of the size of it, because of some of the different things like the size of the focus wheel and things like that. Between these two, I mean, I don't think either really looks intimidating. Maybe you could say that because this has a more visible focus ring, it's a little bit more intimidating, but I don't know about that. But let's talk about the features of them in the sense that each of these cameras has a trigger on the back that allows you to recenter the gimbal, just like that. Or it allows you to turn the camera and put it into selfie mode by triple tapping. That's something that I've become really familiar with most gimbals, and is awesome that they included that on all three of these. Each of these gimbals also has a focus motor or a zoom motor built into it. On the Hohem, it's this big dial on the side. On the DJI, it's also a dial on the side, much smaller, which is great. On the Insta360, the dial is a little bit more subtle and hidden. It's actually this little ring right here. And I honestly didn't even realize it was, there at first. I just now noticed it. Like 10 minutes before filming this video, I was like, oh, that's the ring. That's really cool. Because that means that it's something that makes this a lot slimmer. And I like that. I think that this, I've accidentally like rolled it with my thumb when I'm moving, and that just kind of messes up the shot. So all three of these have those cool features. We've already talked about the AI tracking. Another feature that is nice for all three of them is that they actually have lights built into them. On the AI tracker on the Hohem and on the DJI, there is a light built into it that you can turn on. So if you need a little bit more light in your scene, it's not going to work like to film even the distance like that my camera is away from me right now, but more so if you're going to be in that like selfie mode and filming yourself. The Insta360s, you do have to attach this piece just like the others. It's not something that's built in. It is an external piece that you have to attach to it. But it's there if you want it. The cool thing about the Insta360s one is that while on the DJI you can take this piece off and you can get different attachment mounts for it, the thing is that the little AI tracker is attached to the phone attachment mount, which means if you take that off, then you're taking off the AI tracker as well. But on the Insta360, if you take it off, it's not attached to the phone mount. It's actually built into the gimbal itself, which means that you can use, the magnet phone mount, which is a really cool feature. I like that they made that separate from the mount itself. Now, one feature that the DJI has over the other two is that you can actually attach a mic to this as well. So you could mount the DJI Mic Mini to this and connect it right to your phone, and it's going to work seamlessly. But in all reality, those mics have Bluetooth in them, and so you could just do the same thing on here because you're connecting it directly to your phone in the Bluetooth form. So, sorry, DJI, I don't think that makes this one a winner in that sense. I think that all three of these allow for that feature if you want better audio with a Bluetooth mic. And then when it comes to the app, all three of these, the apps are really great to use. I think I like DJI and Insta360s more than I like Hohem. Each app has different features built into it. They each have some unique things that you can do to add to, but I really like the AI editing that the Insta360 and the DJI Mimo app allow you to use. I think that makes it a more complete use case for the app. But like I said at the beginning of this, I also really like that this has the dock kit, so I don't even have to use the app. And then when it comes to battery life, both of these gimbals, the Hohem and the Insta360, have a 12-hour battery life, and the DJI isn't far behind with a 10-hour battery life. So realistically, all of these gimbals are going to last you all day, or at least as long as your phone lasts you. I think these gimbals will outlast the battery on your phone when you're filming stuff. So the final thing to think about is the price. How much do each of these cost? Well, the Hohem comes in at $299, and personally, I think when you're spending $300 on a phone gimbal, I think you should be spending $300 on something else. I think you should put it towards an action camera, or you put it towards the Pocket 3, or whatever. I think $300 for a phone gimbal is a little much. And again, I think this is for more professional type users, and I say that with a question mark because I don't think you're going to be professional filming with an iPhone. I think filming with an iPhone is for ease of use. Yes, it can be used on YouTube. Yes, creators can use it. So maybe this is for like a content creator, sure. But in all reality, I think that it's just a little too much for what it is. The Insta360 is the second most expensive at $159, and the DJI is only $10 cheaper at $149. And I think for the amount of features that are packed into these two, I think your better bang for buck is actually the Insta360, because there are so many additional features that go into it that we already talked about in this video. So here's the thing. I wanted to make this video very unbiased because yes, Insta360 sponsored this, and yes, I want to give an unbiased account of all the different features in these different gimbals. But I think when you just look at the facts, the Insta360 stands out above the other ones. And yes, there are great features of these other gimbals, but I think the Insta360 has better features. Even to the fact that I didn't even mention this, there's a little like reflective piece here that allows you to see yourself so that when you are filming yourself and you're using the front cameras, you can kind of see what you're filming. That's a really cool and innovative piece into it. And I think that just goes into showing that Insta360 is innovating in this space. I think, I've had DJI gimbals before like this, and they're all really similar, just a little bit better than the one before. This, I think, has some unique features that I think makes it stand out. So if you would ask me which one of these I would use, and it's not saying because Insta360 is paying me for this, it's not because they sent me this, Hohem sent me this one. I paid for this one, but I would use the Insta360 because I think it offers the best solutions for a dad who just wants to film family life quickly, easily, and to make the footage look good. So I hope this has helped you. I hope you have seen the different features and benefits of each one, and it allows you to make a decision of, one, do I want a gimbal for my phone? And two, what gimbal should I go with? If you did enjoy this video, please hit that like button down below, subscribe if you're not already, and check out the links down below if you're going to purchase any of these. I really appreciate if you use those affiliate links. It helps this channel out. And we'll see you guys in the next video.